Hello and welcome back to the Canaries Chat channel. We have just a generic update video today. There's been some news breaking over the last kind of 24 hours after that shambolic game yesterday, where obviously Norwich just got absolutely hammered by Hull. And yeah, thought we'd jump on, give my opinion on things, and yeah, give an update to you guys on what exactly is happening. So a few reports regarding different parts of the business have been popping up. So first of all is that Ben Kensel is supposedly interested in coming back to Norwich in some kind of CEO capacity. He was obviously here, had the BK8 drama, held his hands up to that and then left, and I believe he went over to Hibernian, I think, for a bit as well. And yeah, he's supposedly open to coming back. It would be slightly contradictory to what Atanasio was saying, that he maybe didn't feel like he needed a CEO at this point in time, and that he was happy with the business structure. But Chris Reeve has been reporting that it has been coming out that he is open to rejoining, and that could also mean Kieran Scott coming back to us as well. He left, I believe, around 2021 to go to Middlesbrough to be head of recruitment there. And yeah, I think a lot of his wins he had, maybe Stuart Webber could claim. He was the one, I believe, who scouted Pukki and Buendia. He is a very different approach to Napa. He will buy players to fit the manager's system rather than buying players to fit their own system or kind of who they think would be right. He was the one who was going out there getting Farker players for him, rather than buy a player he thinks will be good and then Farker would have to adapt the team and make changes to fit him in. It was the other way around. And I think, just quickly, about 70% of the people watching this video are not subscribed. We've set a very audacious goal of trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you're enjoying the Norwich City content, you want to support us on that journey, click the subscribe button down below. In places, I think you can tell that's maybe what's happened with Liam Manning. He's maybe not got the players he'd expect or need to make good impressions on the team. However, he is kind of, yeah, still not getting the best out of the players that he's currently got. So a very tricky one there for Liam Manning in regards to recruitment. We've obviously spent a lot of money, but if they're players that he doesn't necessarily think will fit his system, then we could spend another 50 million and still not reap any benefits there. So for me, if we can get both of those through the door, that would be amazing. There was talks of would you try and get Carrick in as well? I think Carrick and Scott, by all intents and purposes, didn't end on necessarily the best of terms, so I wouldn't necessarily see them coming back as a duo to come back to Norwich under the kind of proviso that Ben Kensel gets it. I think it's more out of hope rather than actual chances of things happening that this will get over the line. I think Atanasio, as I said, made his point clear. He wasn't interested in having a CEO put in, and it would be weirdly contradictory that he could come and say this on Wednesday, and then on Saturday there are the reports, as Chris Reeve saying, around Kensel being interested in coming back. I'm not saying he's not interested. I think for Chris Reeve to tweet that from his own account, obviously when he works for the BBC, it's an extremely good source he must have and reliable source he must have in that situation. And we will link back to one of the other things around the new manager that Chris Reeve has literally just tweeted about as well, just before I started making this video. So yeah, I think potentially exciting times. If we could get them in over the line sooner rather than later, we could hopefully turn the ship around and start looking up the table rather than down. The other kind of breaking news that was reported by a few national journalists was that Russell Martin is a front runner for potentially coming back to Southampton or going to Norwich. And as I said, Chris Reeve has actually just tweeted just before we started this around that apparently Martin is very, very open to coming out to Norwich, which potentially surprising. Again, with how things ended at Carrow Road, there was always some doubts on if he would be interested in coming back to Norwich. For me, I don't know if the fit is necessarily what we need right now. We're changing completely our style of play yet again, and also we are going back to a manager that will go into another manager which will only have one way of playing. He did well at Swansea. He obviously got Southampton promoted, but I think everyone expected Southampton to be promoted in that season. But for me, I don't think he'd be top of my list. There's other names being thrown around. Obviously, Gary O'Neill keeps popping up as well. Mark Robbins was supposedly talked about. And this is obviously all speculation because Liam Manning has been confirmed that he's doing the press conference tomorrow. And I think everyone was waiting to hear if that was the case. Norwich like to not kind of post anything for a few days after a defeat, and that normally gets speculation going. But the fact we've had Liam Manning now confirmed to be doing the Sheffield Wednesday presser basically confirms he will be here for Sheffield Wednesday game, which for me is very worrying. They're going to be bang up for it. They're going to be well behind the team. The first home game since the administrators have come in where they've had time to prepare. Obviously, the first game it was kind of the administrators came in, and then the next day it was the Sheffield Wednesday playing, so they are got a bit more time to make more of an event of things. It'll be a packed out Hillsborough. The fans will be backing them all the way, and yeah, for me it is very worrying. I do think we will probably lose there, and we've then got Leicester at home, which again it's a hard one to call, but we'll probably do previews on either both or one of those games as well. So yeah, it's a really tough time to be a Norwich fan at the moment. There seems to be no positive movement, no positive direction. There was the protests at the end of the game. There was fans crowding players and board members' cars. Supposed rumours of some family stuff, but again, that didn't seem to really come from a hugely kind of repeated source. It was just one person saying it, and there was a few hundred people there. So I imagine if anything major went on, that'd have already been stated. But the anger is definitely growing. The fact that Liam Manning will be in charge realistically for that Wednesday game makes me think that we're fighting a battle here that we may not win. We've obviously got the international duty coming up as well, so maybe we are waiting until then, and then that'll be when it's called. But yeah, there's so much to look into. It's like Atanasio has been clear that he's not interested in sacking Manning. Does one result against Hull change that? Probably not, unfortunately. So we've probably got to lose the next couple of games, and then they'll potentially both go. But I think the way that Carrow Road crowd was on Saturday, it definitely has turned very sour, especially to Pen Napper with the protests after. So it's certainly one to watch. We'll obviously keep coming back if there's any updates. We just thought those board updates as well as the potential return of Russell Martin. I'd love to hear your opinion and comments about that. And yeah, as always, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.